It's a frosty morning today, but I got to get back to a ton of stuff around here. Kind of took a day off yesterday to visit a lady we'd met at the post office. Wow, this thing looks neat frosted. You see that? All the pathways should be really dark brown, but instead they're covered in frost. Pretty. Check that hot box quick. Little cold frame. Oh yeah, they're growing down there. And then I did let the Austrian winter peas kind of grow through for right now. I'll trim them back by eating them. I'll let some of the other stuff grow up. So, got a number of things in there. Bok choy, some different kale, some different things. Some of the stuff people suggested from my YouTube channel. But try to accomplish about 2 loads of this in a week. So this is the free mulch from in town. And I try to, usually we run to town anyway, about once a week. But I started figuring out, you know what, let's not make any empty loads. So I try to bring in about 2 a week and just add a nice layer down here to help suppress the weeds and stuff on the paths. So I gotta do that today. Might start back up in the mini barn. Cool thing is right now I got this fence line down over here because I'm gonna be redoing it and actually running cattle panels and then filling in the inside with rock and make kind of a solid fence here. If you guys haven't yet, see this daikon radish. Look at that thing. Oh, it's a big old daikon. Giant radish, that's why I call them soil drills. So, interesting thing, speaking of that lady and then speaking of just more gifts lately, over here are my Korean goji berries. So, I got some seedlings from a guy up in Missouri, and he says with our climate and the way things go in our area that the Korean goji berries are better, they work out better than the Chinese goji berries. So I definitely wanted some of the Korean goji berries, some of the Chinese goji berries, and then I also now have seeds for the black goji berries. So I'm gonna get them all grown if I can. See how they do for us. But now, not only do I have the Koreans, but when we were at that lady's house helping her out, and just an old, 70-year-old woman out in the middle of the woods by herself. So we thought, well, she kind of started talking to us at the post office and kind of invited us to come check her out sometime. So we figured, all right, we'll come check her out. She doesn't have any grandkids or anything, so well-behaved children can help. So that's where we wound up with our little peppers out there. But really interesting place. It just was going to be kind of a whole thing started up many years ago, but it kind of all fell apart. So you've got really overgrown things with a lot of potential. And I think we're gonna help her take care of a couple different projects, and then help her getting her garden ready too. But the cool thing is she had this massive, just massive plant. So I know plants quite a bit, and I'm looking at this plant and it's huge. It's this big old bushy thing, like takes up almost the size of like a car. And I was looking at it, and I mean it had stuff like this, and I'm like, I think that's goji berry. And I'm asking her, I'm like, you know, does this thing put out little red berries? She goes, I don't know. You know, she didn't really remember, but just let me grab a couple samples of it. And the interesting thing is, I had just been talking to the Mississippi Gulf Coast gardener, and he was sending me up a present, but he didn't just send me up the present that he intended to. He sent me up some cuttings from some goji berry. So some of them had leaves on, some of them I already got planted to propagate. And I took a sprig off of that one with leaves too from over at the lady's house, and compared them to some of the ones that had leaves from Mississippi Gulf Coast Gardener, and I'm like, man, that totally goji berry. So in a day or two, I had goji berries now from 2 different sources, and I'm like, wow. And as you can tell, you know, the actual growth on this is much smaller than the root on it. So I'm going to, like I said, it may not do as well as the other kind down here, but we're gonna get going on it. We're going to give it a go anyway, and it was on my wish list, you know, on my to-do list. And then out of nowhere, this lady that we meet kind of randomly, and then Mississippi Gulf Coast Gardener, you know, I just get some from each of them. Like, wow, this is crazy. This is cool, because now it saves me from planting seeds, which I just had started doing. I think I just planted up a couple little seeds, but then he also sent me these lemongrass. So lemongrass does not overwinter here. So you gotta kind of leave it potted and then bring it in at the end of the year, which I did not do the other year. I left it outside and all of mine died. So first of all, Mississippi Gulf Coast Gardener, man, thank you. Not only did you send me what we talked about, but you sent me lemongrass, which I needed, I like. And I messed up before by leaving it outside. And then you also sent me goji berries, which now I have some goji berries from somebody else too. So looking forward to that. And I'm gonna get one of those Korean goji berries down to you and see how it does for you there. And then the cool thing too about that lady too, like I said, she's in her 70s, but she's doing a lot of things. You know, she's pouring some of her own concrete for stuff. She's not letting anything really stop her. She's still got a dream, a vision, and a goal, and hopefully periodically we can pass through and just help her out, because she could apparently use it. You know, we talked about different things, and she was real impressed with some of my knowledge of just the wild plants. Like even when we went into her garden, there was a lot of curly dock, a lot of chickweed, and then a lot of dead nettle, and those are all just tasty good plants. And really, chickweed is one of my favorite like salad bases. So I'm like, wow, you know, if I was you, I said I would just start using this for salads and adding in, you know, a couple other things you got, because it's so good, so tasty. And then it's right there. But her garden is pretty solid with chicken wire and other things. So what we're thinking of doing is actually grabbing a couple of these rabbits. Hey, how you doing? And bringing them over and just letting them live in her garden for the next couple months. And by doing that, they'll be able to suppress all the weeds for her and take down everything that's in there, and they'll be fertilizing as they go as well. So I think it's a good idea. I think it's a nice way to give the animals an opportunity to live them a little more naturally. And ours, even in the summer, sometimes we're up to 50 to 75% just wild food for them, where we slowly introduce it into their diet. And if you kind of go straight from pellets to the wild food, a lot of times they'll give them diarrhea. If you're not watching it, you can actually kill them doing it. But we just kind of slowly introduce them to it and let them get started, and eventually they'd be living just mostly off of just the wild food, which we're kind of breeding for. If you saw the ones I showed you too, they're very natural colored. So we were kind of breeding for color and for them the opportunity for them to have a good diet of just a lot of natural things. So if we put those in her garden area and they can't get out of there, and we provide them some little houses, it's tall, probably at least 8 feet tall, really good fencing, so I don't even really see possums or raccoons climbing into it. And then there's a ton of kind of feral cats in the area, so you know, they're going to keep other things at bay. The only potential issue, I think, would be owls, but if we have some nice little things for them to hide in, especially at night, you know, there won't really be an issue. So it'll be a good place for them to enjoy a happy, freer life. And then for her, they should be able to do a lot of work for her that she won't need to be worried about. So she can just kind of put them in there, check on them every once in a while, let them do their job, and then some months from now, her garden will be ready for her without her really preparing it too much, which I think is pretty cool. And even here, we got some of the American gooseberry that I planted around the bottom of this tree. And I was walking past another just giant, massive bush over there. And I was like, what is this? I'm like, is this a member of the ribes family? And she's like, and she was trying to kind of grab it from her memory. And I'm like, is it some sort of gooseberry? She goes, yeah, gooseberry. I said, wow. I said, I've never seen a gooseberry like this. And of course, it was probably planted like 20 years ago, maybe almost 30 years ago, when the people came to that property and started planting those things. But I was like, wow, like this is crazy. I'm like, it doesn't look like the wild American gooseberry. It looks like something even neater and better. But yeah, so she's like, well, it needs to be pruned like crazy, and it's kind of covered in thorns. And our oldest boy monster truck kind of just crawled right into it and right through it, kind of like a rabbit, where he was hanging out in a circle in the middle where nobody could really get to him. But she's like, yeah, you come back and help us prune it and kind of take care of it a little bit, you know, like feel free to dig a couple of the stragglers up and stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. So we're gonna work on that. And then the cool thing too is I had brought over some of our homemade salami, which I just did a video about, shared some with Jeff from Bobblehead Homestead when we went over there. And I had made it like ghost pepper salami though. I got to the point where I'm like, you know what, let's bring up the heat a little bit. So we get there and I'm like, I had to bring it. I said I was gonna bring it, but I forgot that we were gonna, you know, bring some there. So it was ghost pepper, and I'm like, hey, is there any chance you like spicy stuff? She goes, oh, I love spicy stuff. I said, oh, good, because I made ours ghost pepper. But she's a pepper fan too. So she had these little guys growing here. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They either get 3 or 4 wings. Some people call them like a bishop pepper. I used to have some that went by the name of Uba Tuba, and they were on kind of a thinner, wispier pepper plant, but these weird shaped things, kind of like a jellyfish type looking thing almost. But I'm like, whoa, like, you got Uba Tubas? And she goes, what? And I said, these guys. I'm like, you grew these? And she says, yeah. She goes, wow, you want some seeds? I'm like, yes, because my seeds from Wisconsin actually, last I checked, are not viable anymore. So I'm like, no, they didn't germinate for me last year, and I tried a couple different times, and I really wanted to be growing them. So now I've got a new seed supply for them, hopefully. And yeah, exciting. And then also these guys behind me, see that? There's a little crack down the middle there, but those I'm gonna use for a couple more cold frames, I think. Maybe make a little hot box, little small greenhouse, something. But got those for free when I was picking up the mulch, because it's at the recycling center. Some guy had those there, and I'm like, man, you just throw them aside. He says, yeah, I was going to use them for like a cold frame, but I'm like, well, I will if you don't, want them. He said, oh yeah. I said, I'd rather have them go to use than just, be destroyed and tried to be recycled. I said, all right, we'll put them to use. So, I don't know. I guess the moral of the story is I got to get back to work, get some stuff done around here, and did have a wonderful day off for my wife's birthday. Saw some incredible scenery. Enjoyed our time a lot. Had a wonderful time kind of meeting with this lady and getting to know her a little more, checking out kind of all she's got going on, and even looking at that, I mean, man, she's out there kind of in the middle of nowhere by her complete self, like 80 acres, and a lot of things. We got a ton to do around here too, but hopefully we can periodically continue to invest in other people's lives, help them, be a blessing to them, and not just be here for ourselves, because the world's got too many selfish people in it anyway. So, but it was cool too then, in our kind of desire just to hang out and get to know somebody and kind of see how we could help them. Then all of a sudden she's giving me goji berries and pepper seeds and telling me I can come back and have some gooseberries and stuff. And it's like, wow, you know, it fits into our plan. So I think it's just part of combining powers, you know, and then everyone benefits. She's got some stuff she needs, and she's got some stuff she doesn't mind to bless us with that fits right in line with our dream and goal and project. So, you know, here's this garden, guys. I'm looking forward to this next year, because last year I didn't start with any raised beds. I had to build them all one at a time. So I'm going to build this one up for my snake gourds. It's going to be actually for cold hardy kiwis, but I grew the snake gourds on here last year. They did really good. I'm going to give them an even bigger area to run on this year, and we'll see. So, alright, I got to get unloading this, guys. Papa out.
As always, I'm Papa Pepper, and I'd like to remind you, don't post for free. If you'd like to be part of a revolution in social media, an economic power to the people where users can actually blog for cryptocurrency, then I'd recommend that you check out steemit.com and join the revolution. Papa out.